Hello again everyone, and welcome to the back garden yard. In today's video we're going to walk around the garden and I'm going to show you the garden and things you need to do like on a daily maintenance. That way you'll know at least 8 different things you need to be taking care of to have the perfect summer garden. So I will go ahead and I will list them on this paper at the end of the video, and you can review those. But first we're going to go ahead and take a look at what's needing to be done on a daily basis during your walk around. So let's go. And that's how you take care of Japanese beetles. Plants that you're going to put on a trellis, you always want to make sure that if you're going to trellis them, you keep them tied up and keep them hooked to the trellis. Otherwise they're going to fall and break. And here's a prime example. These right here are butternut squash, and they need to be tied up, and over there they went through, so they're doing good. But you need to go through and tie up the ones that are coming through, because they're going to try to put on a butternut squash and they're going to break. So I'm going to go ahead and tie them up. So here we go. Simple square knot will do. And that is done. Now we're going to take the tendril and see if we can actually hook it to the trellis. Just very gently let it come around without breaking it, and that'll help you a bit more support like that. And I'm going to go ahead and finish. This is an early girl tomato plant, and it is really starting to produce very, very nicely. It's just loaded with little tomatoes that are looking good. We'll walk on down. These are the better boys, and it's starting to get loaded also with nice tomatoes. And here's another better boy, and here's another better boy. And it's nice that you have to look down there, because the whole idea is to have these leaders up above them to keep the hot sun from cooking the tomatoes, and they can ripen without shade cloth. So this is what the tomato garden looks like. Now what we're looking for in the tomato garden is we're looking for leaders that have come out too far and they need some support. And there's one, and we can see that this one still got good support. This one's got good support. And this one here is down low, and it needs some support to be pulled around here and tied. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do, and I'll show you that in just a minute when I finish. And here's another one right here that needs, it's come all the way from the main leader there, from the main stem, all the way up here, and it's put on some tomatoes. It's got some more blooms here, and it needs to be pulled up and tied to get it up off the ground, and then I'll cut this leaf off. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So here's where I tied this one, if we can see this. And then of course this leaf here has already got damage. We're just going to go ahead and take it off, and I will throw it in my bucket. And then we're looking for other leaves that are down on the ground. We're going to take this one off, and this one has some disease on it. We'll take the bottom off of this one, and same here, take the bottom off of that. So here is my beet row, and these were the 50-cent Walmart package that I bought and planted way back, I think in late April or May. And now I know they're mature because you can see this one up here with the tall top has bolted. That means it's getting ready to make seeds and flowers. And of course we didn't grow them for seeds and flowers. And then if you also notice right on the edge here, I've got a row of peppers there and another row of peppers here that I planted just so that when I take these beets out, I'll have two nice rows of peppers. And that's called efficient use of garden space. So anyway, let's check the beet and see if it's ready to harvest. And that's one thing you want to do when you're out here. You want to harvest things that are ready to pick. So let's try this big one here. And look at the size of that beet. And so yes, we're going to pick the beets today. Now the thing about these beets is you can eat these stems and you can eat the leaves that aren't old and dried out. So I'm going to do a video later on beets and how to prepare the stems, the leaves, and also the beetroot for cooking and cook it. So that'll be my first cooking video of the year. We're going to look at these squash and make sure there's nothing left to harvest on them. So let's, oh, I see one. And there we go. Now, I've mentioned it many times before. When you're picking squash, it's best to cut them off versus twisting, because that puts so much stress on the little plant. So let's just snip it off right here. And we have a nice yellow squash ready for cooking. I'm trying to find the stem to cut it. There it is. And there we've got a nice zucchini. Okay, so let's go on to the back garden and we'll check out what needs to be done back there. Now these were the second cucumbers I planted, and once again we have got suckers that have come out and need to be tied up to the trellis or they will break off. So that's a project that I'm about to accomplish, but I'm not going to stop and do that right now for the length of the video. The sweet corn is starting to tassel, and it'll be producing in another 2 or 3 weeks. And here's the sweet potatoes that I put in there into the sweet corn have lived, and they're starting to run. And one more thing I need to do is weed this corn. So that's one of the important things you need to do when you see it needs to be done, is you got to weed these, because you don't want a whole crop of weeds right here in these sweet potatoes and corn. But coming back to the cucumbers, now these are the cucumbers that I showed on my video, where I have cut the very base, the leaves off, and then I topped them up here, and I topped it right there. And as you can see, it has made it branch out, And now, here's my first and biggest nice cucumber. And as you see, it is longer than my hand. And it's ready for picking. Got another one right beside it coming. So we'll go ahead and throw that down in the bucket. And down here, under these leaves, are another couple of cucumbers that are ready for picking. This one didn't mature, but you got to get these that don't mature, these early ones on off to keep the plant bearing. Here's another one that needs to be pulled, even though it didn't get pollinated. All are doing very, very well. They're doing exactly what I wanted, and they are producing me some very nice cucumbers. Okay, we'll take a look at the okra. The okra has not started yet. It's looking very nice here in these two rows. The sweet potatoes are right beside them, and they are looking very nice. Now, I came through in part 4 of the sweet potato videos and pulled all these out so you could actually walk down the rows, and they have grown again. So it's actually time to pull them back out of the rows, and I just usually toss them back up on top like this. But I'm not going to do this whole row now for the sake of this video, but I just want everyone to see how fast they're growing and how nice they're doing. And all the sweet potatoes are going to come from these bases that are up here on these mounds. And so I've got to get out here and pull all the sweet potatoes back into rows. And finally, we'll take a look at the taro. I don't know if anyone's seen my video on taro and taro taters, but you can eat the leaves, you can eat the stems, and then they make a root that looks a lot like a potato. This is a tropical plant, and they're growing very, very nice. It's actually got a cousin called elephant ear, and you can see that they definitely look like the elephant ears. The elephant ears, I think, have red stems and they're not edible, so don't go out and eat your elephant ears. But these are definitely edible, and the taro is doing fine. And the last thing we want to look at are the Calabaza squash. And they are doing great. They're just running that here all over the yard. Gonna go ahead and pick one of those. And once again, you can see where I tipped the end of this one. And so what it's doing is making runners that are shooting out everywhere and throwing off more Calabaza squash. These will actually turn into pumpkins if you don't eat them at this size. I think I'm going to leave that one. I'm going to leave this one here, and I'm going to go ahead and pick this one, and you eat it just like a zucchini. We get them when they're about the size of a baseball, about like this, a softball. And there are more Calabaza squash blooming and making in here. There you go, you can see one right in there. Anyway, they are doing fine. And folks, that's it for the garden right now. I hope that I've given you some pointers that will help you to keep your garden going in the summertime. Now, the very last pointer that I want to make is watering. You've got to water your garden during the summer heat. Now, the way to water it, as you can see, I got hoses running everywhere, but the way to water it is soak it. Don't just give the plants a little bit of water every day. What you want to do, and I think you can see this from yesterday's watering, is you want it to look like you had a couple of inches worth of rain in here. So you want to soak it, and soak it good, and then you can wait a couple of days and do the same thing again instead of watering every day. I found that's a much better way to water. So the other thing is, make sure you keep the mulch on, because as you can see, the mulch keeps the weeds off the base of the plants, and it also holds the moisture. So if you mulch your plants right, then you won't have to water as often. Okay, I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have, please like and subscribe, and we will see you on the next video.